Bob used to be a woman. Look at tough guy.
Nice hair color.
Did your makeup?
Bob Rock looked like 10 years ago.
We put him through the ringer a lot, and he survived.
How come this guy's on the side by himself? Was he like the leader or the...
Yeah, he's the leader. He told you what to do? That girly-looking guy?
What we did is we tried to expand every sound to the max. We tried to get the guitars as big as possible, and the drums as big as possible, the bass as big as possible, big and weighty.
Now that I like. He does get that Hetfield God sound.
With the other records, they were absolutely beautiful for what they were, but it was more of a wall of a sound, very guitar-oriented, very little bass frequency other than coming from the low end of the guitars. When Bob Rock came into the picture, bass frequencies also came into the picture.
That's what I'm saying, the bass should be with them, right? Maybe doing the same part, but just not fucking boom, 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 boom.
And then we had the wonderful chore of trying to make it all fit through two speakers, which was, you learn these things.
So that's the wall of guitars. Left, right, and the thickener. We couldn't just do one guitar for each guy. I had to do like 3.
I played all the rhythm tracks, and they had to be dead on. It was just a big wall of sound.
Radio had heard so much about this band, and they had really been pushed to play them by fans more than anybody, and resisted, that when a record came along that had some serious hooks, a real groove aspect to it, it really grooved, was super well produced and sonically sounded great. They had to deal with it. And then you had a whole nother audience that had only maybe in passing heard what Metallica was or thought of them as this real over-the-top heavy metal band, and realized that this was not necessarily just a great heavy metal record, it was a great rock record.
Basically, the approach to the drum tracks were, up to 30, 40 takes of a song, and really looking for those magical verses, chorus, whatever, and cutting them together and making one magical take.
There's a lot of cutting it together and then changing it and recutting in bits, and it was quite a long process, but that's sort of the method, really the only method available to us at that time. There was really no digital editing per se, so I got my cutting tape chops down by the end, that's for sure.
We liked it here because we could take our time, and there was no other bands kind of peeking in, sounds good, dude, It was our place. We could shut the door and everyone could just fuck right off,
And with Bob, it became much more about like a vibe, and it became much more about a moment, and it became much more about a performance, and it became much more about taking what we were doing into another place that we had never been before, and trying to let go of the past.
A little bit too fast.
Yeah.
That was a prime example of what song or what tempo to play the song at. This we argued about a lot, I remember, because that riff sounded so happy when it was fast like that. I'm trying to lay it way back, And even the vocals just too rushed,
Hey, betray, I'm your only true friend now. They'll betray, I'm forever there. I'm your dream, make you real. I'm your eyes when you must steal. I'm your pain when you can't feel. Sad but true.
The door was open just enough for Bob to sort of grab it and try and pull it more open and let us into a whole different way of doing things. And that was so amazing in retrospect. I mean, the 9 months we spent in this room were pure hell because we were just really reluctant.
I could see I wasn't going to get anywhere with arrangements. I concentrated on tempos and mainly the feel, trying to find the pocket for the tempos and you know, just making changes like that and really listening and feeling out what the band was about.
Do my work, do my dirty work, scapegoat. Do my deeds, but you're the one who's shamed.
And Kirk's U2.
And
U2 guitar.
And it kind of, the thing that's great about it is it actually works well with this.
That's really cool. Who played that?
That was you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then we had to spin it in because, as I remember, it wasn't really popular when we did it.
Well, that's what happens after you've heard the song a billion times. You go back to cool stuff that you did and think, well, why didn't we turn it up?
The hammer of Sad But True, that riff, which is one of the heaviest riffs I've ever heard, when I had my wisdom teeth taken out before I went under with the anesthetic, that was the last thing I could remember, was the Sad But True riff. That's music for pulling your teeth out.
Lars and I were on really different schedules. You know, Lars would come in and he was nocturnal. You know, he just wanted to record all night and sleep all day, and I didn't dig that. I'd rather be in, you know, during the daytime and take a few breaks, go outside and feel some sun on me. And it was tough because I'd come in and do some guitar stuff or vocals, and then Lars would come do some drum thingies. And you know, Bob was here 24/7. You know, he was burning midnight oil.
For the most part, I think we all didn't sleep enough, and we all worked way too hard.
I never really had the big picture of this album that I think Lars did. I just knew it was a bunch of good songs, and that's all any of our other records had been. These are the best songs we can write, and we'll put them out.
Holier Than Thou and some of those songs were finished much earlier than like the Sandmans of the world.
Lars knew before we recorded, just by the demos, that Sandman was the song. I didn't hear it.
You know, Holier Than Thou was like the big front runner. I remember everybody, like, it's one big argument, like, Holier Than Thou is the, you know, the first track on the record and the first single, and I was just like, guys, you don't get it.
So for the record, what was it like?
Yeah, it was the riff and it was the energy, you know, and then the lyrics came and the melody, and then, you know.
And the lyrics came, and then it wasn't the single.
And then it wasn't the single, you know. So it's like, you know, what do you do?
You can't say crap on the radio.
I like the intro of this song. I gotta tell you that I do have this like recollection of the time when your buddy Tommy Lee came out here and you were playing him the song, and it was just like the intro. You had to crank, and it sounded really cool, actually.
Now that's interesting because there's not a hell of a lot of that on the mix.
The guy's throwing up. Wow.
We were kind of going for a Bon Jovi thing there. Peter Frampton Bon Jovi thing.
Yeah, that's it.
But I also remember that you were always like talking about that once we got up into the higher tempos that there was less kind of things we could do with it in terms of like production and ideas and taking it into different places, that there was much more the possibility, like with the slower songs, to go in different places and fiddle with different parts and be more adventurous. I think you kind of felt that when we were up in the faster tempos it was more restricting.
Yeah.
He taught us all to listen, not just hear. to really actually listen to what's going on, what needs to be, and how things work together to make the song breathe and pulsate.